Weatherman, we can't allow any further delay. So stop your waiting.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Mark Nelson, Chief Meteorologist here at Fox 12. This is our first Alert Weather podcast, and today is episode number 120. Thanks for joining us. It's me and Katie Zuniga. How are you?
Good. I can't believe we're already at 120. I feel like the buildup to get to 100, like we felt like it took forever to get there, and then now we're already 20 episodes past it.
I remember when we were trying to get to 56, so I would double what we had done before Brian McMillan left over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So you've done quite a few. I should mention what's behind you, because whoever's sitting in that position, either it's you or Camilla, you see all these photos and there's a big denied behind your head. Basically, that's our memorabilia wall. And before I forget, Katie,
yes,
if you look over behind my desk, my daughter got rid of like this pinup type board, you know, where like you put push pins in.
I see it.
And I was going to put it in the garbage. And I thought, ooh, maybe, you know, you're kind of crafty. Maybe we can make that into our wall instead. I don't know.
Yeah. And then take all that off so it's not so cluttered right there.
Does that bother you that it's cluttered?
Oh, absolutely. But it's common space. So that's why I don't say anything.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm kind of a neat freak, everybody. Kind of.
Well, that's for sure. So again, thanks for joining us. It's just the two of us here. By the way, I checked in with Camilla Ortiz, who has been on family leave for about, I think it's 7 weeks this week. It's 7 weeks. She had her baby in early September, I think around the 11th or 12th. And she will be back. You know the date. It was the 11th. Okay.
It was the 11th.
So she will be back in about, is it 2 months still? Yeah, a little over 2 months. Basically right after the new year. So she will be back. But she's doing fine. Saw the little baby. My wife has been about babies her whole life. And she said, we have to get over and see that baby before he gets too big. And so we went over there and she held him the whole time. And Camilla kind of had to pull the baby, like, give me my baby back. And
not surprising.
Cute little kid. And Camilla did just text me, and hopefully we're going to see her. I guess this is our Halloween episode, folks, because we're recording this on Tuesday the 29th in the evening, and I think Camilla's coming in either tomorrow or Thursday, so hopefully we get to see her with the little baby Enzo. Okay.
I would see him. That's cute.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. So last week, well, it was almost 2 weeks ago. We're trying to do these about every other week. Limited resources and person power right now. Okay, so this one might be a little shorter because last time we talked all about what might be upcoming, this winter with La Nina and whatnot. So
and Mount Adams and stuff too.
That's right. We had the volcano expert West that was great too. Yeah. So the rainy season is here. Clearly, it's happening, and boy, the next 3 days look really wet. Again, we're recording this Tuesday evening. There's a good chance you're listening to this on Wednesday or watching on Wednesday. That's one. We've got mountain snow is back, and we've got the forecast of what we see up there, because it's always that time of the year. Skiers, snowboarders. It's like, is this going to be it? Is it going to be an early season? Got a few thoughts on that. Where are the storms? Of course, the next question is what kind of a question is that? I'll explain when we get there. Kind of quiet. Yes, it's raining a lot, but it's kind of quiet storm-wise. We'll take a look ahead into the first 2 weeks here of November. Already here. Got some good viewer photos too. We got one Halloween photo too. Yeah. So, okay, this is, we kind of slammed this together this evening, folks. We had a show at 6 and now Katie's going to be on here at 8. Yeah. So these are rain totals in the last 6 days. If I recall correctly, these are since the 23rd. So about 6 days here. And PDX has picked up a little over an inch of rain.
Wow. So
some places have been soaked more than others. That's common. Typically, we see the driest conditions on average spread out over a long period of time in the Tualatin Valley around Hillsborough, and we typically see the driest conditions in the lowest elevations along the Columbia River, Vancouver, Portland. In this case, that's about right. But I mean, this says the wet season is kind of easing in, isn't it?
Yeah, it hasn't felt that rainy to me, even though we've been getting it consistently the last few days.
We've both been slightly under the weather. You probably can't tell our voices are only slightly off. Neither of us has a terrible cold, but both of us are just slightly under the weather. No biggie. So if I'm rubbing my nose a little bit, it's just, fresh air. So then if you look at the places that receive 3 inches or more, this says the rainy season is arriving here. You got 3 inches in many places in the Coast Range. I see a spot there west of Forest Grove. That might be Saddle Mountain. There are 2 Saddle Mountains actually in Northwest Oregon, but that might be the one west of Forest Grove. 4 inches there, and at 4.7 around Mount St. Helens. Always a wet place, and we got lots more to go, folks. So, Katie, Do you have any thoughts on this? You just did this graphic.
I did. I was looking at it, and kind of my thoughts are still the same as the last time we were kind of looking at where we were a couple weeks ago. Is that although we're seeing so much red on here, minus the last 2 weeks have been a little cooler, that's still not very far off from normal. It's still pretty close because we've had such cool nights, right? So
cool
to me, this is a little deceptive and making it look like October has been really, really warm because it really hasn't.
We're not seeing that much red. Oh, we should, you know what? Wait, election 1 week away. We need to mention the red and the blue. The red is above normal temps. The blue is below normal temps. That is not a political statement of any sort.
And gray means it's average for that day.
Gray does not mean an independent voter. That just means average for the day. Okay, wow. You know how crazy it's going to get. So we just want to make that clear if anybody's going to go off the edge on this. I don't want to get an email.
Well, so, something else that's sticking out to me on this particular graphic too is we talked about when we start October, and I don't know if you got it in there, the November one where we talk about the differences that month, where
I forgot to put all the November graphics in. So next time, sorry, Katie, you did that work.
Did all that work for nothing.
I was busy with the cat photos for the 6 p.m. show.
Yeah.
It was
so we talked about before how October sees the greatest change on average in temperatures. Well, if you look at October 1st, we were at 81, and you look at today, we're at 58. So I think that just like perfectly illustrates this month sees the most change in our daytime high temperatures.
Yeah, just 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, if we would have said, hey, we'll be in the 50s for 3 days, only around 50, 55 for 3 days straight, it'd be like, breaking news is going to be freezing cold, but it changes so quickly. Now it's like, wow, if it hits 70, that'd be crazy warm.
Yeah.
Yet we were 70 only 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again. I mean, there could be a freak 70 with a southerly wind in early November. It is possible, but it's really, really rare.
Oh, I was looking at that, actually. I have it right here.
November, yeah. If you got, we're all about data here, Katie. If you got something good, you just jump right in.
I do. So if you look at back to 2015, the warmest we had was in 2016, 69. So we haven't had a 70-degree high for November for the last 10 years.
Okay. I think we had one around 98, 99 because I remember mowing my lawn outside in a t-shirt like on November 10th or something.
Yeah.
But so we've made it to 69. That was in 2015, you said?
Lots of 68s between now and then, but the warmest we have on our graphic for the last 10 years was 2016 at 69.
And the way we get the warmest, record high temps, upper 60s, low 70s in November is typically more of there's an atmospheric river nearby and we're on the south side of it, so we get a southerly breeze. Basically, we're starting to get into inversion season in November where an easterly wind probably isn't going to get us up to 70. Easterly wind becomes a little cooler than average instead of warmer than average. We need to, it's kind of a switch in the regime there because the land is just starting to get too cold to our east wind, chilly. So there's your rain for October, and we're finally getting some rain.
Look at that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been really, there's no one day. Obviously, the 20th and the 27th, we had nearly a half inch both those days, but there's no real standout day there.
No, we haven't had any, we could have 1.5 inches of rain on an October day, and that sure hasn't happened. We're just not seeing big, hefty, big storms. We're just seeing bits of rain that keep adding up slowly. So we're running a little bit below average for October. We have 2 more days. We had none today on the 29th. So the next 2 days, we could get an inch. So I think we could end up pretty close to normal. I think in the end, we're going to look at this October and say, it was a little warmer than normal, but otherwise,
pretty average.
Nothing to write home about. Yeah, was September the month, or was it August was kind of average? One of those two was.
There was another month recently where we said the same thing. It was kind of forgettable.
Might have been September as well. Yeah. Okay, so we got that. Oh, did you see that? Katie, you were off yesterday. Did you see this?
I did not see it. I was taking a nap to try and fight this little cold.
Right. So this is from Scott Hellman. He's passing, and a bunch of you viewers did see this. You're passing over the Rainier Bridge, along the Rainier Bridge, and you could see not only a funnel cloud that's pretty clear cut, but then if you look closely, here's a closer view.
Look at that.
There we go. There's spinning going on in the water down below. So the Weather Service at first called this a funnel cloud because, it's a funnel cloud, but what's going on below? Is it a water spout, yes or no? And they said no. In their final storm report, they corrected it and said, okay, let's just call it a water spout. You don't have to have the whole condensation funnel all the way to the ground for it to be called a water spout.
That's what I was just about to say. It's unlike a tornado where it has to actually touch ground. to make it an official tornado.
True. Although if this was over land, let's say if it was the same intensity wind, I don't know, I assume there's gusts of 50 down there at the surface, 50 or 60 to get the spray going. If that was over land and you saw debris flying around, I think that would be considered a tornado, I think. Maybe. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just thinking.
You know what happens? I'm looking at these graphics. Because I'm on the graphics part. I can't see you. It's like it got really quiet.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
When there's only two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So
cool.
Last night on the script, I didn't read it, but one of the news anchors read, "Hey, Columbia County, you saw a water spout," and I thought, "Ooh, those are fighting words," because that's right on the line. That's on the state line there, through the middle of the river. Or was it a Cowlitz County water spout? I don't know. I fight over that. So this is, that it is peak season for tornadoes in our viewing area. October is that we have the highest incidence of tornadoes. You're usually weak, but not always, in October more than any other month. So seems appropriate. Okay, mountain snow, topic 2. It's back, and let's look at what we see ahead. All right, so this is a view. The left side is the Jeff Flood Express at Timberline. They said they've got 8 inches of snow on the ground. Looks like something like that, I suppose. Ski Bolt, so that's at 6,000 feet or so. On the left, upper left, lower right here is Ski Bowl. Ooh, somebody didn't change the logo. It's supposed to say Ski Bowl, not Adventure Park. Oops, my fault. Oh, that's on the online version.
Yeah.
Katie, after lunch, because we eat lunch after we do this, remind me to change that logo. That's the online version.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's on our one here.
Yep.
So
just realized we also have produced that image as well from our weather system. So this is 5,000 feet on the lower right. So a few inches there, just a few. We have several cold systems coming in, which we'll detail in just a moment. But Government Camp, Timberline Lodge, going to get some snow. We think several more inches coming up between now and Friday. Notice there's more in the central and southern Cascades. The southern Cascades are off this map, but I could see like 18 inches or more down at Crater Lake. So we're going to get quite a bit of snow. Nice start in November, which makes you think, okay, so what do we typically see in November at Government Camp? Here we go. Xmasis. It's a great website.
I love it.
If you go to the Mark Nelson Weather, all one word, .com, way down there's an Xmasis link. And you can slice and dice all sorts of weather data. This one I just took Government Camp. That's the only place up around Mount Hood that has official snow observations at 4,000 feet. Snowfall November 1st to November 15th, so only in the first part of the month. And you look at the huge variation. Each year is different. Many years we get nothing up there first half of November. But there are a few good years. 50 inches of snow in the first 2 weeks of November.
So since we don't have our November graphics, one of the ones that I pulled out said that the earliest snow in Portland was November 11th, 1955.
Correct. That was during a huge freeze, early season freeze.
1.1 inches. Just, I know it's not Government Camp, but that was just
No, that's good. I was going to say there's also, maybe on Halloween, maybe tomorrow I should use this graphic. It did also, I think in 1935 downtown, there was measurable snow on Halloween.
Oh.
We're going to have to look that up and have that great Portland weather book. And it talks about, I forget the gentleman's name that wrote the book. And I think he goes into news reports and looks at that. Yeah. But Government Camp. So you see 2009, we had a decent amount of snow, almost 30 inches. And the last time we had anything more than a foot, looks like it was 2020. I don't remember what happened later in 2020 that fall. But later in November, I should say. So, a lot of years, like last year, there was no snow in November at Government Camp. Very mild month. We will see. To be determined.
Oh, there it is.
This is our 7-day forecast from Mount Hood. Haven't used this since last spring. And so we think a few inches tomorrow. Tomorrow we got a system coming in. Snow level's relatively high, 5,000 feet. Remember, Government Camp is at 4,000 feet. And then Thursday looks, there's a lot of showers coming through, maybe 2 to 6 inches. And then maybe 6 to 10 inches. Friday's more cold showers. So snow level is like hanging right around Government Camp during this time. So I figure those lower amounts are down at Government Camp. Higher amounts are like the top of Ski Bowl, higher up at Timberline and Meadows as well. So by the time this is over, I think it'll be over by Saturday morning. There could be 1.5 feet or more of snow on the ground at Timberline.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then it warms up Monday and Tuesday. So as you'll see coming up here when I show you all the maps here and we go over what we see ahead, I do not believe as of now that this is the beginning of like, oh my gosh, we could be skiing in a week and a half or 2 weeks from now, because next week looks different than this week. And you do see in those last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, snow levels go way up. Not like it'll wash away that much snow. If you've got 20 inches on the ground, it takes a while for that to melt. But I just don't see new snow after that time.
So
Speaking
falls
of,
in October, stays in October. Is that what you say?
Oh no, what is it? This comes from Drew Jackson, who used to work with us. October snow comes and goes. November snow stays and grows.
There it
usually.
is.
Although that was from a cooler time too. Before 2010 is when I first heard that. We have seen warmer Novembers lately. And oh, by the way, back here, this graphic, when I looked, you notice I cut it off at 1994 just so I could get all of it into the podcast graphic size. When I went back to 1951 or 52, whatever it was, in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, there was on average a little more snow in early November. So a little warmer. Snow season on average starts a little bit later. Huge variation each year, but the average back then I think was 11 inches in the first half of November at government camp, and the average now is 7 inches, which doesn't seem dramatic, although percentage-wise it's somewhat dramatic. But so we do get a little bit less in early November than we used to. Okay, where are the storms? By that I mean a lot of years are like this year, but some years we get kind of stormy in mid to late October. We have some deep areas of low pressure approach the coastline. The bomb cyclone of 2018, 17, whatever it was, that was unusual. But usually we see some stormy pattern from mid-October to mid-November at some point, and I just don't see that over the next 10 days. So this first week of November, it looks kind of quiet to me. Not dry, but kind of quiet. Yeah, I mean, we can have a lot of rain and not really have a stormy pattern. I mean, look at the last week. We got plenty of rain. But we didn't have strong south wind. We had some gusty south winds at the coast, but we just didn't have any, deep areas of low pressure, anything crazy. So let's look ahead. Ooh, look at this, Katie. To the left side, your eyes are drawn to the left, are they not?
I know.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It's like a perfect textbook comma.
Yeah.
It's just, that's beautiful.
The Norwegian model of the cold front, I guess a lot of that would be becoming an occluded front. And you see the cold, unstable air behind. Look at that. Really pretty.
It's so pretty.
I just want to sit there and stare at it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like watching the clouds develop and you see those white tops. It's just so pretty.
And the Terminator or the darkness coming. Actually, the just the way these are produced by whatever. I think this might be Purdue, whatever organization is that these come from. At a certain time, they just go, okay, light is fading. Let's go to infrared. So we got a sharp cold front approaching the coastline. And if we look at the upper level pattern, most likely you are listening or watching this, and we recommend you watch the video. It's either YouTube or just go to kptv.com, the weather page, and it's weather podcast. And the second link below that is the video version. So you see all these graphics. But what you see here, most likely you're listening or watching this on Wednesday. So I took 11 a.m. Wednesday. We've got a relatively deep trough approaching the coastline. This is a good setup for a vigorous cold front. Lots of lifting just ahead of it. Okay, so this is midday Wednesday, and we've had weak ridging over us today. That's why for Tuesday, when we were recording this, it was pretty much a dry day. There were showers in the mountains, but not much. I got a bike ride in today, Katie, by the way. Nice. That was shocking. I thought I was done. Yeah. But up there in the foothills, because it's even wetter up there, but the sun broke out, and I'm like, I'm riding because I looked at the maps for the next 3 days, which look terrible and wet. I'm like, I'm riding today because I don't know when I'm getting on my bike again.
Yeah, I took another nap.
That was nice. That was like me over the weekend when I had the cold. All right, so this is Wednesday morning. So now we're going to loop from midday Wednesday to Saturday morning. And here's the deal. We were thinking that would swing on through, but look how there's a second kind of wave that comes through on Friday.
Yeah. And I was looking at that. It's very zonal. It's not like no real strong troughs or ridge. It's just very zonal. Kind
of almost a long wave trough sitting over us for a few days, kind of, and it's kind of rotating around. So we got several little waves of energy coming through. If you look closely, here we go, cursor right there. You see that thing go? Yeah. I can't. Oh wait, can I stop this?
I don't think you can.
Oops, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. No, I can't.
I'm watching the wind barbs around where we are, and they're almost westerly the whole time.
Right, because
even though that little trough, but it's like more to our south.
Little short waves are rotating around the trough to the north. Yeah. So what do we end up with rain? This is the European. This is the operational forecast. This was the 18Z from this afternoon. And it really nails the far southern valley, southwest Oregon, because of that wave coming through Friday.
That's exactly what I just saw.
When I look at the ensemble, it wasn't quite as heavy. And our graph model's not quite as heavy. But the point is, the heavier rain is to the south. We probably all get 3/4 of an inch to an inch between now and Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So that's going to bring us up to pretty much normal for the month of October, and starts November 1st, Friday, pretty wet. That said, that's not enough for flooding, since we don't have any rivers are low to start with. So that's the European precip forecast. Here's the GFS precip forecast. Seems a little more reasonable. But, 1 to 2 inches. Resolution is not quite as high, you notice, on the GFS. That's just how it is. And a little bit makes it east of the Cascades. In fact, that'll be good.
Excuse me.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Fire season is over, but we're getting a little bit more rain in some of the mountains of eastern Oregon, some snow too, which is good. So that was the GFS forecast. So a good soaking the next 3 days, indoor weather. Kind of hard to nail down the Halloween evening, trick-or-treating time, 5 to 9. I just assume it'll be showery, but we don't see either what we call a deformation zone, which is solid, steady, heavy precip. We also don't see cold front coming through at the time. It's going to be off and on showers. Chilly too, only around 50. Katie, you're going out, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to be dressed as?
Myself. I don't get dressed up.
You just stand back at the street
with an umbrella and a coffee and my very warm jacket.
Hot coffee?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to need that for Halloween.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go further out in time. This is the EPS, which is the European Ensemble forecast, all the ensembles put together. This is from this morning's run. And a day 1 through 5 average, you clearly have troughing. The blue areas are below normal heights in the upper atmosphere. Warm colors are above normal. By the way, it's been very warm back east. And they're going to stay warm. So this is day 1 through 5. So this takes us through, it would be, through about Saturday, right? Saturday or Sunday. Troughing, wet, cool. But if you want stormy weather, by the way, you'd want this trough here along the west coast. You want it offshore so things are swinging down and firing up as they come up the coastline. When it's like this, actually, it's interesting, by the way, this is not this exact pattern, but La Nina winters on average tend to have ridging more often out here and troughing more often along the west coast. So that's interesting. Day 1 through 5. Day 6 through 10. Oh, what's changed? Test time, Katie. What do you see? What's changed?
Let's see. The trough.
A or B?
So that ridge is a little closer to us. And the trough is off to the east.
And to the south, yep.
Down, actually, like way down there. That's going to be, probably chilly for them.
And this is the average over 5 days.
Yeah.
So there could be several things going through. But clearly we don't have a stormy pattern setting up day 6 through 10 over the next 10 days because either it's kind of this weak stuff coming in from the west-northwest the next 5 days, or a little trough over us, or the ridging higher than normal heights are right offshore, and that doesn't get us stormy weather either. So
it blocks everything.
First 8 or 10 days, 8 days at least of November, I just don't see anything that interesting happening. That doesn't mean it's going to be dry. So that's the European average. If we look at the GFS ensemble average, the GEFS, same period, looks kind of similar, huh?
Similar, just not as
Euro,
strong.
GFS, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. But generally the same. So I'm pretty confident next 10 days, it's going to rain, probably a little milder than average once we get past these first few days where it's chilly. And is that my stomach? I'm hungry. So that's the European GFS. Now, here's where things are a little bit different. So this is the Euro days 10 through 15. I thought this was interesting because I'm like, zonal flow. But I think what may be happening here, I didn't go look at, you can actually go look at all of 51 members. My gut feeling is they're each different. So maybe it's averaging out to just slightly higher than normal heights.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's kind of averaging out all the waves. So this would be November 8th through the 13th, taking us almost through the first 2 weeks of November. It's interesting because I'm like, I wonder what the GFS shows, the GFS ensemble average. A little different.
Yeah.
So that tells me, when I go back here, I go, okay, pretty confident. Euro, GFS, ensemble averages, first 10 days of November, okay, kind of quiet. But what's going to happen beyond that time, I think we're unsure. I mean, that's very different.
It's very different.
And the GEM, the Canadian ensemble averages were a little more like the GFS.
Yep. And just again, for those of you that are listening, the GFS is showing more cooler and
troughing.
Troughing
in the Eastern Pacific and Western USA, whereas the Euro just says in general it's higher than normal height. It's kind of maybe something's interesting is going on there during those 5 days, but in general it's higher than normal heights. The Euro has no sign of big troughing offshore, but maybe half of its members do, and half have the ridging, and so it's averaging out to flat. That's what we could be looking at. We don't really know.
Yeah, so they're different in that way.
Yeah. European precip anomaly next 2 weeks. It's a little dry to the north, a little wet to the south. Probably a lot of that is in the next few days here to the south.
Yeah.
Nothing really dramatic there. Interesting that the GFS next 2 weeks, similar.
Mm-hmm.
A little dry north, a little wet south. I don't have any great thoughts on that. Nope. So there we go. Right. So I think kind of quiet the next 10 days. What happens after that, we're a little bit unsure. Maybe if we're lucky, a big stormy pattern setting up some windstorms and flooding.
Yeah.
I mean, minor flooding. I don't want anybody to lose their home insurance. Always need to qualify that one. Yeah. So there we go. All right, viewer photos. What do we have here? A boring sunrise. Now, Katie, this is not a boring sunrise because it's a pretty exciting sunrise, I would say, but it's from Boring. Jared Lyman, thank you very much.
That's so pretty.
Really pretty. When we work nights, we tend to miss these because, we're not getting up early.
Well, I did on the weekends until Camilla had her baby, so I got the best of both worlds. I got sunrises on the weekends and sunsets during the week. So
I don't recall when you were talking about that schedule saying I'm getting the best of both worlds.
I
think it was like, could I get my shift all in the same time of day? I don't remember. I'm going to remember that one. Hey, you get the best of both worlds because you're working at 4 a.m. this weekend, Katie.
And then midnight the next week.
Yeah, no. By the way, this was taken on the 25th, so that would be Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday. Anyway, if you have a picture to share, you can do it through our app, which is an easy way, but maybe you're kind of like me and you're saying, I got too many apps. I don't want too many apps on my phone. You can just go to our website, kptv.com, weather page, submit your photos. It's right there. We cannot just grab off Facebook or Twitter anymore, folks. The lawyers will nail us to the wall. In fact, TV stations have been sued for just doing that. So that's why we don't do that anymore. The glory days of the internet are gone. Look at this from Clark Allworth. Wait, was this sun? It was sun, not moon. Right?
Yeah, that's daytime.
Yeah, sun. Yeah, it's a sun halo. Same day. Later in the day. Thin high clouds.
Oh, that's in Hillsborough.
Hillsborough. And then this, I assume, is later in the day. And then we got Halloween pick, Puzzle the Tortoise. I think this was last week, right, Katie? You haven't seen this one?
I have not seen that one, no.
We did this one last week. Katie was in some warm tropical place, and I was working hard here, show after show.
With all the World Series going on.
No, that was only the last day.
Oh, okay. Does that turtle have a tortoise? I should say have a
turtle has a crab.
Has a frowny face on his nose.
Wow, you're right. I never noticed that. Maybe they all do that.
I don't know. Now I'm curious.
Either way, a crab is getting a free ride for Halloween, apparently. And Katie, you're an Instagram person, right? Are you on Instagram?
I am.
I'm too old. I don't want to be on Instagram. Actually, I am on Instagram. I just never post anything. Apparently, you should look this up. Puzzle the Tortoise it has this puzzle has its own, his or her own, their own Instagram page.
Puzzle.
You know, look it up while I talk.
I'm looking it up right now.
Here
Tortoise.
Yeah. So if you have pet photos, it'd be great. We love the Halloween pictures, folks. Doesn't have to have a crab up. Did you find it?
I did.
Wow.
How funny is that? 323 followers.
Well, I'm going to start following, even because I don't follow. I bet I have all of like 6 followers.
Right now, he's going for a walk with the ghost balloon tied to its shell.
Okay.
That's funny.
Well, that concludes our podcast, folks. You want to make it simple, concise, efficient. Make sure you have our app as we hope, get into stormy weather at some point in November.
The exciting stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. We will be back. We're probably not going to do one next week. Well, next week is election week. We're going to be kind of busy in the newsroom. So let's give it a week, let everything mellow out.
Yeah.
We'll see. And in 2 weeks, we'll connect up again. And hopefully by that time, we'll have some sort of stormy weather. So thanks for joining us. Thank you, Katie Zuniga. We'll get back to our dinner, and we will see you later, folks, for episode 121.
You're waiting and hesitating, and please tell us